Well, as a filmmaker and as just a film watcher, it's one of the most, if not the most original films I've ever seen, ever. I've seen a lot of weird stuff, too, so it's a tough thing to accomplish. But I mean, like, the few people I know that have seen this movie are just like, that's the craziest movie I've ever seen. I mean, it's total anarchy. It reminds me of, like, kind of early Alan Arkin, Joe Dante stuff and Paul Bartel stuff, which I'm a big fan of, like Rock and Roll High School, movies like that, that are, they resemble something familiar. In this case, with Houses, they resembles a horror movie, but it's not quite a horror movie. And those movies resembled teen comedies, but there's something just more bizarre about them. And I think it's really just the filmmaker's take on it. And this being an experimental kind of pop art Japanese filmmaker, I think he just went to the fullest extreme that he could. To me, the movie absolutely is the point of view of a child, and sort of it's a crazy, sort of emotionally, experimentally melodramatic, like almost manic perception of a horror movie. There's so many things in the movie that are the way a kid's mind races around back and forth and moves from one topic to another, or is really scared of one thing and then really enthralled by another thing. That seems to be the point of view of the movie. This is also, not only is it probably the weirdest movie I've ever seen, it's the movie with the most technical stuff I've ever seen. Like, I've never seen a movie that's used every trick, every in-camera trick, period. You know, from irises at weird points to giant zooms to animation to painted backdrops to video effects. I mean, it has everything. And what's I think really interesting is that he was like a commercial director. And right now, the last 10 years or so in the US, it's been like commercial directors doing horror movies is like the thing. That's what they hire, commercial and music video people, because they can give you a stock issue look that everyone's familiar with, and it's very slick and is very accessible to audiences. And then in Japan, like in the late 70s, they hire a commercial director who does the polar opposite of all that. And it's almost like when you think of a guy coming from an advertising background and an experimental film background, this is what you would get from it. But what we get in America is like the most milquetoast, like just make it look like everything else and it'll be successful. Whereas this is the complete opposite. This is just complete anarchy of a movie. And it has the sort of Japanese style advertising and things popping up left and right. And it's stuff that's not in other movies. And so it's like, as a film goer, how could you ignore a movie that's unlike any movie you've ever seen before? How is that not the most exciting thing? I mean, I think House ultimately is an art film, which is rare to see an art horror film. And it's something that, you know, I try to do, and people that I know try to do, and there's very few every year that you get that are sort of art horror films, and I mean that they're challenging films, because usually the horror genre is lowest common denominator. And you don't get art films, you get just commercial, recycled sequels, remakes, whatever it takes just to please an audience for 90 minutes. And an art film, I think, challenges an audience and makes an audience a proactive member of the viewing experience. And I think House does that very well, in that you can't just sit back and take it in. You're kind of on the edge of your seat looking at it, because it's unlike anything you've seen before, and it makes you think, and it makes you like question, like, is it funny, is it scary? And you have to really come up with your own opinion on it, because the movie's so extreme, it really forces you to do that. Whereas other lowest common denominator stuff, you know what it's supposed to be, because it's only supposed to be one thing. And I think that's something that this movie does very well, is it succeeds on multiple platforms.